from NJ.com. This is Talk is Cheap, a New York Giants podcast. We're talking Big Blue football all year round.
28-10, where it never really was quite that close. The offensive line was overmatched by a really physical Vikings defense, and I think it was a bit of a dose of reality for Daniel Jones that it's not always going to be a collection of weekly honors, and it's not always going to be a weekly highlight reel leading Sports Center. There are going to be days like this, and Ryan, Thursday night promises to be another day that could get out of hand rather quickly for the Giants, and it might turn into a burn the tape type of moment for Daniel Jones.
If last week was a dose of reality. What is this? This is a dose of painkillers or something. I don't know what this Thursday night's game could be. A true wake up, one of those when your alarm goes off at like 4 a.m. kind of wake ups. That's what this could be.
Yeah, no, I agree, and we're getting into why this is such a challenge. Not just because of the Patriots playing at kind of a historically high level for them on defense, and Tom Brady always being a thorn in the side of the entire NFL, not named Eli Manning in 2007 and 2011, or Nick Foles in 2017, but just the issues, the litany of injuries and concerns and question marks facing the Giants. But before we get into all that, as always, just a little bit of housekeeping to take care of here. If you like what you hear on the show, we'd love if you would subscribe in the Apple Podcast Store. Leave us those 5-star reviews. Let us know what you like. Rip us if you want, but leave us that review because it helps us grow the show. You can check us out on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Stitcher, and all your favorite podcast platforms, including Google Play and iHeartRadio.
That's how you know it's NJ Advanced Media. We rip us if you want.
Yeah,
we're open to it.
Exactly.
You don't have to just say nice things about it.
Exactly.
It's a two-way discussion.
And we have thick skin, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're both on Twitter. He's at RY Dunleavy. I'm at Matt Lombardo NFL. And we're used to wearing the body armor and fighting off the trolls. But the Giants, Ryan, this could be a tough one. This could be one of these games where you hold your nose, you close your eyes, and you just grin and bear it till it's over with, and you move on. Because the Vikings on Sunday, I think, exposed a lot of the weaknesses that still remain with the Giants. Improved offensive line for the most part, but just run down the injuries real quick. Wayne Gallman suffers a concussion.
There is no real quick. With these injuries, there's no real quick. That could be the whole podcast.
Yeah, Wayne Gallman has a concussion early on. He's likely out for Thursday night. Sterling Shepard, we're going to get much deeper into this, suffers his second concussion in 5 weeks. He's not going to play. Saquon Barkley remains a question mark with a high ankle sprain, unlikely to play, which would be his third game that he misses due to the injury. Tay Davis, some good news, inside linebacker coming off the concussion protocol, and who knows about Alec Ogletree, but
Evan Engram.
And Evan Engram reports surfaced on Tuesday, potential sprained MCL on his left ankle.
Yeah.
Left knee.
So you're just playing without Engram, Shepard, and Barkley. So other than that, everything's fine.
Yeah, and Wayne Gallman. So
and Wayne Gallman.
If things couldn't be difficult enough for the Giants without Barkley, you're now looking at a backfield that could very likely consist of John Hilliman, who is an undrafted rookie out of Rutgers, was on your practice squad as of 2 weeks ago. His one appearance on Sunday, he gets stuffed behind the line of scrimmage for a safety in the end zone. Eli Penny, who's a fullback, halfback hybrid, and a practice squad player who even Pat Shurmur, Austin Walter, the Pat Shurmur can't even remember his name.
Nice kid. Here, let's give our friend Tom Rock at Newsday a shout out here. He tweeted this. This was the starting lineup when the Giants played the Patriots in the preseason finale on August 29th. Tight end C.J. Conrad, tight end Scott Simonson, wide receiver T.J. Jones, wide receiver Golden Tate, quarterback Daniel Jones, running back Paul Perkins.
So you have two players there. You have Daniel Jones and Golden Tate that are holdovers from August.
Which lineup is better? The lineup that they played in that preseason throwaway game, or the one they're going to play? Let's say, so you swap out the two tight ends, Conrad and Simonson, so we'll put in Ellison and Garrett Dickerson. Wide receiver, Golden Tate and T.J. Jones, so we're putting Golden Tate and Cody Latimer.
Right. Or Darius Slayton.
Running back, we're going to put in Hilliman for Perkins. Which lineup's
You
better?
downgrade everywhere except for quarterback.
Well, quarterback's
the same because Daniel Jones started. So, I think you've downgraded just about everywhere. With
tight end might be better because Ellison's a significantly better player than Conrad and Simon.
I agree. So you might have upgraded at tight end. Quarterback stays the same,
and that's it.
Wide
you're
receiver,
down at running back. You can argue
even. Wide receiver might be about even with Golden Tate and Darius Slayton if Slayton's the guy. And listen, I like Cody Latimer. I think that he's a multifaceted guy who can help you on special teams and contribute some snaps on offense. But I think that Slayton's the better option at this point based on what we've seen in terms of him stretching the field the last couple games and, of course, the 35-yard touchdown catch that might have been the best throw of Daniel Jones' career so far on Sunday against the Vikings.
But just the idea that we're having this conversation, Matt, is absurd. The fourth preseason game is a game where you play no one, is a game where you literally are just resting dudes. So the idea that you're going to compare your Week 6 lineup to your Week 4 preseason lineup and wonder which is better tells you just how bad the Giants lineup could be with all these injuries on Thursday.
And to make matters significantly worse, you're not
that
playing,
can happen?
You're not playing the Cincinnati Bengals or the Miami Dolphins with this skeleton crew. You're going on the road to New England, who, again, always an intimidating place. I don't care what Golden Tate says. There's a mystique about the Patriot way and what that organization has been able to do for close to 2 decades here. They're averaging 6.8 points allowed on defense. That's less than a touchdown per game. The Giants over the last 2 weeks are averaging 13 points per game on offense. Ryan, you look at the fact that Daniel Jones has no weapons. You look at the fact that Nate Solder has become a turnstile at left tackle. You look at the issues with the offensive line against a very physical Minnesota Vikings front seven. I don't think it's a stretch to say the Giants could get shut out on Sunday night. Or Thursday night, rather.
Oh, definitely. I definitely think that's possible. I mean, I think I picked 35-6. Spoiler alert. I think I picked 35-6. You have your pick.
44-10, I believe.
Yeah, 10 is that's aggressive. Look, I just think this is a mismatch. I mean, I think you're going to see what it's like to be a Dolphins or a Redskins fan this week. You don't have to deal with that as a Giants fan because you have Barkley and Engram and Shepard and much better players than those teams. But when they're all out at the same time, you're going to see what it's like to – actually, you're going to know exactly what it's like because you lived through it in 2017 when Odell was hurt and Shep was hurt and pretty much the whole team was hurt or quit on McAdoo. That's kind of what this is going to look like, I think.
Let's play a little good news, bad news here, because I think that this, again, there's a lot to be concerned about going into the Patriot game, but all is not lost here, because let's assume Saquon Barkley does not play on Thursday night. That means that next week, Week 7 against Arizona at home, you pencil that in, circle it. Very strong chance he returns in that game. That will be 26 days out from the original injury, so you're probably getting him back at full strength. Evan Engram with the sprained MCL, I believe he missed, 5 games with that injury last year? If he's out there even in a limited capacity, which he appeared to be during Tuesday's practice, there's a chance you get him back next week, and you just look around the NFC East. Yes, the Cowboys playing the Jets doesn't help you very much, but the Eagles have to go to Minnesota and play a really difficult game on the road in a hostile environment against a team that blew them out last year in Philadelphia. So the division isn't necessarily running away from you even at 2-4 when you have a very winnable game against Arizona and I think a winnable game the following week in Detroit against the Lions. So all hope is not lost regardless of the outcome on Thursday night. And I don't know about you, Ryan. I'm not so sure that I'm even that concerned about the score or the win or the loss. I want to see how Daniel Jones responds to this. I want to see how the defense responds to this because they're relatively healthy, almost at full strength on defense outside of maybe inside linebacker. But I want to see what happens within the game in terms of this team's development and responding to getting punched in the mouth more so than I care about a win or a loss.
No, I think that's kind of what this whole season was about as soon as you played Daniel Jones. Like, people forgot Week 3 we were talking about. Really, the season now is about Daniel Jones' development. And then they won 2 games in a row, and we got caught up in, maybe they're a playoff contender. They're not. They're not very good. I picked them to win 4 games. I mean, I think you picked them to win 10 or 11. But
6 or 7. 6 or 7.
But the point being, they're just not a very good team. It's always about Daniel Jones' development. And this will be nice because we'll see what he does when he literally has to carry a team on his shoulders. And then the next couple games, we'll see him against, winnable competition again. So it's all about the pendulum, the roller coaster ride for him. We are the eyes and ears of the fans. So you touched on this a little. What did we just see out at practice? So we only get to see about a half hour of practice, not even 10, 15 minutes maybe, a couple days before game. We saw, you pay close attention to practice. You were out there videoing it. What did you see from Barkley? I didn't see Shepard at all, correct?
Shepard wasn't out there. No Wayne Gallman. Neither one of those guys on the field, both in the concussion protocol.
What did you see Shep, Engram, and Ogletree doing?
Ingram looked no different to me. I watched.
I agree.
Yes, he had the wrap on the left leg, but he made a couple one-handed catches in the individual line. He seemed to be moving around just fine. We'll see if he misses time and how much he's able to do during the practice. And I thought Barkley. The clearest indication that he's not playing to me is that he was going through individual drills with Alex Tanney. He wasn't taking handoffs from Daniel Jones.
Good point.
He was kind of the third running back in that mix. But even so, on a slightly slick field because it was misty out here, still moving around just fine. If you told me that this was Saquon Barkley fully healthy, I'd believe you. But based on where he lined up in that warm-up line, it kind of goes to show me there's probably not a good chance he's going to play.
And then did you see Ogletree?
Didn't really take notice of Ogletree. The one thing that I did notice is I thought Julian Love looked like he was getting a little more run in terms of up the depth chart. But who knows what that means? We're watching guys go through the warm-up drills they do before the game.
Yeah.
Who knows what that actually means. What really matters is what happens while they're actually out there practicing and going through team drills.
Are you surprised Love hasn't had a bigger role? I am. I asked about it last week. It was asked again yesterday. He's playing a little on special teams. He really hasn't played, maybe a handful of defensive snaps, if any, all season. I'm surprised a little just because they're playing so much youth everywhere else.
Yeah.
And he was a 4th-round pick. That's not a throwaway pick. I'm not asking Chris Slayton, a 7th-round pick, to get on the field. Like, if you're a 4th-round pick, you get on the field. You had 2 5th-round picks. Ryan Connolly was playing at a starter level, and Darius Slayton's playing at a starter level. So I'm surprised that we haven't seen Love at least get tested.
Yeah, I don't think that they really... It's hard to say that you don't like a kid based on his rookie training camp, but I don't get the sense that they really liked what they saw in the summer. I mean, it didn't take long for him to be cast aside from the slot corner in rookie minicamp to free safety, 5 snaps later? And he kind of stayed there throughout the summer. But I also think that there's a theory in this building that veteran leadership matters more than youth, which is why you keep bringing back guys like Nate Stupar, who seem to be good for the culture. The obvious exception is Daniel Jones, because it just became so apparent that he gave you a better chance to win and that you were kind of a rudderless ship those first 2 games. But I think that the same thing goes for Antoine Bethea. I think that James Betcher values him as a leader and his experience in the defense. But with that said, Ryan, I don't know about you. I haven't seen much from Antoine Bethea that makes me think that he should be penciled in as the starter every single week. And I think that Julian Love, as a 4th-round rookie, if you even think he's competent, I think he should be out there on the field over Bethea right now, at least in some packages.
You said the name Stupar. I want to get on that for a sec, Matt. Stoop life. Just real quick. Why do you think it is? Are you surprised at all? Because you make these lists, and I make these lists, and other website reporters make these lists.
And teams make their own emergency list. Yeah.
But we make these lists, and we go through them, right? And I did it when Saquon first got hurt. I had Jay Ajayi and C.J. Anderson, and they ended up bringing in Austin Walter. And did you do one this morning?
For wide receivers. And usual suspects, T.J. Jones, Benny Fowler, Alonzo Russell, and a couple other names. Ryan Grant.
Yeah, but we end up going through and we end up picking like top guys or whatever. Our boss will want us to put Des Bryant on the list. But the Giants never do that. The Giants don't go after the top guy in free agency. They generally go after they need defensive end help. They sign Chris Peace, who, obviously was a rookie on the Chargers, played 1 game. Or they need running back help, they get Austin Walter. They need wide receiver help, they get T.J. Jones. They very rarely go after whoever the top free agent. How many times have we been talking about signing the inside linebacker Brandon Marshall?
Right.
They never do. Why do you think that is? Is that why? Is that salary cap? Is that they're not interested in these top free agents? They're kind of looking at it as a rebuilding test out year. Why do you think it is? Because correct me if I'm wrong. I think you covered the Eagles. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Eagles always seem to go after the top guy. Jalen Ramsey's on the trade market. You hear the Eagles are involved.
Yeah. They went out and traded for Jay Ajayi mid-year last year.
Correct. They need a gap. They go after the top available guy. Free agent, trade, whoever the top available guy is, when they have a need, that's who they get. When the Giants have a need, they go get somebody you've probably never heard of.
I can't understand the philosophy, to be honest. I don't know if it comes down to familiarity with Dave Gettleman and he doesn't want to step out of his comfort zone. I don't know if it's trying to, as a scouting department, find the diamond in the rough that nobody's looking at. I don't know that perhaps they spoke to Brandon Marshall and from a salary standpoint it didn't mesh. I can't figure out the philosophy here.
I think fans are having a hard time figuring it out.
Even somebody like Fozzie Whitaker, who is an experienced NFL running back, played for Dave Gettleman in Carolina. They had him in for a workout. If he's fully healthy last week, there's a guy who worked with Mike Shula in Carolina, obviously is familiar with Dave Gettleman. Why was he not signed last week for the exact emergency case that you're facing this week with Saquon Barkley potentially on the shelf and Wayne Gallman unavailable? He might not have been able to play last Sunday, but you need to think progressively that, hey, you might be facing a doomsday outcome on a short window. He could have been available to get on the field this week in a simplified playbook had you signed him last week. I don't know that. And here's another thing.
If not Fozzie, then Kermit or Grover or one of those. Sorry, wrong Fozzie.
I was always a big Fozzie guy with the Muppets, by the way. I remember it was one of the first stuffed animals I got as a kid. But the other thing is, I find it interesting about this beat and this team in particular. There's a lot of focus on the practice squad here. Who's the practice squad guy they're going to bring up? Who's the guy that they could sign to the practice squad? I didn't notice that in Philly. Like, the practice squad guys were there, and they ran scout team, and they were in the locker room, but you didn't hear a lot of, let's just promote Greg Ward from the practice squad.
The Giants use it as a JV team, basically.
Right, as a travel roster, that if somebody goes down, we'll just bump somebody from the practice squad. That's one of the bigger differences to me. The Eagles will go out shopping and bring in a free agent, and the Giants will get by dipping onto the practice squad. I just don't understand that.
They did that last year quite a bit with Garrett Dickerson, Quadri Henderson, guys like that.
Send guys back and forth, up and down. Now the Eagles will go and they'll poach and Nate Sudfeld off the Washington practice squad because they like him and think they can develop on their 53. But I just sense a lot more focus on using those 10 men on the practice squad as roster buffers rather than going out and getting someone in free agency. And it's a philosophy that seems unique to this franchise and the people who cover it.
That's really good insight, I think. I just think, honestly, I think what they do and what they say are two totally different things. And I think what they say is this is not a rebuilding year. We're trying to win. We're, keep buying your tickets. Keep buying your concessions. We're trying to win, every year. And I think what they're actually doing is using it as a test year to, scout as many players as possible, get as many up-close looks as possible, get as many, why sign Brandon Marshall? Because by the time he's going to take a one-year deal, he's going to be gone next year. We might as well develop Josiah Teaufu, who might be with us when we're good in 3 years, whereas Brandon Marshall will be 35 by that point.
That makes a lot of sense.
I think what they do and what they say are totally different things. And I think they're acting like a team, trying guys out for a year or two so they know if they're part of the solution when they actually have some money to spend and bring in players. Is this guy a capable backup, or is he just a guy and has to go and we need to find somebody better to back him up in 2021?
No, I think you hit the nail right on the head. And I think they're also continuing to straddle the line of trying to win while rebuilding, because I do believe, and I think Pat Shurmur believed, that Daniel Jones gave the Giants a better chance to win than Eli Manning did when they made the switch. I think that as much as developing Jones and getting a look at Jones for 14 games played as much of a factor in the decision as anything else. So I think that was in play there. I think it's interesting and probably spot on that they they want to develop young players and get a look and see at guys and kick the tires for what happens 2 and 3 years down the road. But they still went out and they brought in Golden Tate, and they still went out and they, brought in other veteran players to plug holes when these issues came up. They still went out and traded for Kevin Zeitler over the offseason to fortify the offensive line rather than draft a right guard. So I think there's still a walking the fine line of rebuilding and trying to win at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think they're trying to do that. I think they're definitely trying to go 8-8 and get the worst draft pick they possibly
can. and before we get too lost into the nuts and bolts of team building and roster construction and how they're doing this, I think we need to dive into the Sterling Shepard situation for a moment here, because if you think back to the season opener in Dallas, the NFL launched an actual investigation into the Giants' handling of the concussion protocol and the fact that Shepard stayed on the field when it was obvious to anybody in the building that he was woozy and knocked out. Turns out he had the concussion, sat out a game or two, and here we are. On Sunday, takes the big hit, looked woozy at the time, they buzzed down to get Shepard off the field. The independent arbiter did, to get him off the field and evaluated for a concussion. And then Sunday, Shepard comes in showing symptoms and he's shut down. Ryan, I think it's interesting, one, that it was handled that way again. And two, I think that if the Giants are smart about this, given the recent history for Sterling Shepard, this should be a 5 to 10 week situation, because you need to be safer rather than sorry. 2 in 5 weeks is one thing. 3 in 6, 8, 10 weeks, that's where you start talking about, could this guy become the next, Don't
even say it.
Yeah.
God forbid.
Yeah.
God forbid. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I really think they need to figure out why. If Shepard's talking his way back into the games, then you need to learn you can't trust Sterling Shepard.
Yep, I agree.
If you can't take him at his word, you just can't. The way we can't take Shermer saying game soreness at his word, they can't take Sterling Shepard. It's admirable that he wants to play, but there is a reason the NFL has rules to protect guys from themselves. Don't take Sterling Shepard. You can't trust him if he says he's okay. You just can't. That's what's happening here. But you have to stop letting these guys. You have to stop letting guys go play in games with concussions. Shermer keeps saying, like, sometimes the symptoms show up later. I've never heard another coach say that. I know it's possible, of course, but no other coach is saying sometimes the symptoms show up later. Better safe than sorry. This isn't. I'm sorry. You're not trying to win games here. Like,
right.
It's just not what it is. It's just you're losing that game 25-10. You're not going to win the game. Like, put Sterling Shepard's health first. I'm not saying that's not what they're doing. I'm sure they have that intention, but the intention isn't meeting the action, and they need to find a way. They have good intentions. The actions aren't smart. Find a way to meet them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think as far as the wide receiving core, this now opens the door for Darius Slayton to have a bigger role. And I think he's proven the last 2 or 3 weeks that he is deserving of snaps playing on the outside. And I think that we're going to start to see, it might not be Thursday night because of the Patriots defense and what they're doing this year, number 1 defense overall, and I believe number 1 against the pass. But I think he proves worthy of being the number 1 outside receiver right now, especially in Shepard's absence. I think you see a lot more of Golden Tate, who only played 40 snaps on Sunday, was only targeted 6 times and made 3 catches. Didn't seem thrilled with his usage on Sunday. Clarified some of those comments Monday night when we saw him at his locker. This is going to change your wide receiving core, but it's a change that has to happen. And whether it's just relying on those guys to get you by, or picking up the phone and bringing Alonzo Russell back, or bringing in Ryan Grant, or bringing in someone off the street, the Giants need to think long-term about what the wide receiving core is going to look like for a sizable stretch of this season.
Or who else? Reggie White, David Sills, and they have a third receiver on the practice squad, I think. So that's probably what they're going to do. We just talked about it. That's how they default to. They're probably going to call up Austin Walter and Reggie White this week. That's probably what they're going to do.
Yeah, and especially this week in particular, that's kind of the smart thing to do, because they have been here, and this isn't your normal week. It's hard, especially if you didn't bring somebody in yesterday, to have them in meetings.
I just don't understand. Fowler and TJ Jones know this playbook. Like, they were here till last week.
Yeah.
So why didn't you call them as soon as Shep when in the protocol. I don't
when it comes to Jones, I don't think he did himself any favors with the 2 muff punts before he was released. I think that putting the ball on the turf as a punt returner when that was what they were kind of relying on you to do, more so than being a receiver, I don't think he helped his own cause.
Yeah, I guess. They call Fowler.
Yeah.
Fowler's a legitimate NFL receiver. I mean, he's like legit number 3 or 4 NFL receiver. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, and we spent a lot of this podcast talking about the offense, but I think the secondary and the defense is going to be a problem again on Thursday night because they were overmatched against Adam Thielen and Kirk Cousins. Nothing like, can't pass the ball, quarterback needs to make a public apology to his wide receiver. Nothing cures those ails like playing the Giants defense, right? Yeah. We saw that on Sunday. Thielen had a day. Cousins had a day. Grant Haley continues to be getting targeted. DeAndre Baker got targeted and was really helpless on that last Thielen touchdown catch. It could be a shooting gallery again with Brady and Julian Edelman against the secondary unless they make changes or can somehow generate some pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. They've generated more pressure than I thought they would. I thought coming into the season, you heard me, I didn't think they had much of a chance of generating any pressure. Marcus Golden has been a revelation as a pass rusher. 4.5 sacks. No one had more than 5.5 last year. Olivier Vernon had 7.5. But Marcus Golden has actually generated some pass rush. Ximenez has 2 sacks. Like, even when they don't get sacks, they've had games with 8-10 quarterback hits. Like, they've gotten more of a pass rush than I even thought that. It's not great, but it's sufficeable, serviceable.
Yeah, and Dexter Lawrence is...
Yeah, Dexter Lawrence.
I'm not going to say that he's the fix to the pass rush that the Giants promise, but he's quietly having a really strong start to his career.
I think he's steadily improving.
I agree, and according to Pro Football Focus, he has 2 sacks, 11 quarterback hits, and 8 hurries through the first 5 games of the year. Get this, his overall grade, and we've talked about this before, anything above 65, 70 is pretty good. Dexter Lawrence's overall PFF grade is 83.
Wow,
so
that's probably the highest on the whole team.
I would say it's probably one of the highest rated defensive rookies, I would think, across the NFL. So Lawrence is starting to generate the kind of pressure the Giants hoped that he would, and there's no better time for your nose tackle or your defensive tackle to create some push than against Tom Brady, who consistently complains in his career about A-gap pressure. Now, I don't think pressuring a guy up the middle is going to be the be-all, end-all in this game. No. But it's going to help.
And the Giants are the ones who really gave you that blueprint. I mean, just that package with Justin Tuck as like a defensive tackle in the Super Bowls are really the ones who gave you that blueprint for what Tom Brady hates for years and years. Problem is Justin Tuck's not walking through the door. Neither is Matthias Kiwanuka. So, yes, no, exactly. I think Lawrence has been good. It's the secondary, man. I mean, Jabril Peppers made a heck of a play to chase down and get that fumble. Obviously, they had 4 interceptions. Rabbit had a great game against the Redskins. But for the most part, the secondary has been Swiss cheese. For the most part. I mean, the receivers running open, not just Mike Evans. Like, the secondary has been a disappointment. It's looked every bit as young as
we expected.
Every bit. I want to go back to that safety. I hate we're not supposed to look back. We're supposed to flip it forward. But what did you make of that safety? I thought that was an atrocious play call. And I think Giants fans have now have used that as their launching point to criticize a lot of Pat Shurmur's play calling.
Yeah, and I think that there's some basis there. I mean, I get the philosophy of trying to run the ball backed up deep to create some space. But you have to know your personnel. You have to know that it's not Saquon Barkley in the backfield. You have to know that John Hilliman, as high hopes as you might have of him, as competent as you think he is, and maybe he winds up being for however long Barkley is out of the lineup, he was a practice squad player 10 days ago, right?
And this isn't like your normal front seven. This is one of the best top 5 front sevens in the league.
Correct.
Who now is going to send the house at Jonathan Hilliman.
Correct. And I think if Barkley's back there, it's a questionable play call. It's an atrocious play call with Hilliman back there. If I'm backed up on my own 1 or 2 yard line and I have Daniel Jones, first play is probably a QB sneak. Second play might be a handoff to Eli Penny on a fullback dive. And depending on the down and distance after that fullback run, maybe some sort of play, and I punt the ball and get out of there. In a worst case scenario, because you're then trying to play for field position and preventing points at that stage.
It just epitomized to me. The Giants had the ball at the 1 yard line, 1 play safety. The Vikings had the ball at the 2 yard line, 98 play touchdown.
Yeah.
That was the game, and I think that is exactly what you're going to see this game. That's why I mentioned it, because I think, again, you're going to see the Giants kind of overmatched on both sides of the ball, where both teams could start at the 1 yard line. One's going to go 99 yards, and one's going to get a safety.
And I think that's part of the difference. I mean, they had Dalvin Cook, the Giants had John Hilliman, and I hate to continue to pile on Hilliman, but he is what he is.
But it's also the offensive line's got to block better there. The offensive line has not been good. It's been okay.
And if there's a blitz or a run blitz that the Vikings are showing there, Daniel Jones, and this isn't necessarily an attack on Daniel Jones.
No, but this is part of being an NFL quarterback. You got to learn to recognize those things.
Yeah, exactly. If it's a run blitz, he needs to audible out of whatever that run is and get into another look. And that's part of the growing pains of starting a rookie quarterback in his third career start.
Yeah, no, that's it. And now you're going to get his fourth career start against Bill Belichick. And I believe Steve Politi, our colleague, looked it up. Belichick is 11-0 against rookie quarterbacks in Foxborough,
including Ben Roethlisberger and Russell Wilson. He has not lost in his career to a rookie quarterback
at home. I believe he has lost to like Colt McCoy as a rookie quarterback on the road, which is nothing short of stunning.
Yeah. So, and again, we can go back to the fact that in Tampa Bay, Todd Bowles had only lost one time to Baker Mayfield as the defensive coordinator, as head coach against a rookie quarterback. This is a different beast than Todd Bowles. This is a much more talented.
Jets fans everywhere are like, yes, Bill Belichick and Todd Bowles are two different beasts.
And this is a much different defense than Tampa Bay's defense. And it's Tom Brady on one side of the field instead of Jameis Winston, and it's not Matt Gay lining up to kick a field goal at the end of the game either.
No, exactly. It's not going to be Gostkowski either, though, right? Isn't he out for this? Who is the Patriots kicker? I don't know. I have no idea. Hey, there's a spot the Giants have an advantage.
There's a bright spot.
Aldrich Rosas greater than Patriots kicker. That's what I will say. Rosas is one of the best in the NFL. I would say that's an advantage the Giants have in this game. See? There we go.
There you go. Mike Nugent.
Put that in your matchups.
Yeah, with a key matchup, it'll be Mike Nugent over Rosas over Nugent.
Yes, there you go. There you go. Balance it out.
Yep, Ryan, before we head up to Foxborough, any final thoughts on the game or moving forward here?
No, I think this game is kind of exactly what... You know what? I do have a final thought. I thought this was going to be the last Manning-Brady game. I really did. When this schedule came out, remember, this is all the week. A lot of people, not you, pat on the back.
Thank you. I will pat myself on the back.
This is the game a lot of people thought would be the last Eli Manning game. First Tom Brady, symmetrically against the Patriots. I kind of thought not that long ago that I'd be going up here to watch the end of Eli Manning, and instead I'm going to go here and watch Daniel Jones get thrown to the wolves, basically. It's weird. I definitely thought this would be Eli Manning, Tom Brady, last hurrah. And now, is it possible, Matt, that we could see Eli Manning in this game just because it's like 40-0 at halftime and you play your backup quarterback? That would be insulting. I think probably not.
Yeah, I would tend to doubt it. But I'll say this to Giants fans watching this game. If by some stroke of miraculous universal occurrence, the Giants win this game, go crazy, go overboard, and enjoy it.
Oh yeah.
But if this goes as we expect,
and tell us, and feel free to give us middle finger emojis,
whatever you need to do. But if this goes the way you and I and a lot of people expect it to, and it goes poorly, don't get too down on Daniel Jones. Throw the tape. It's a bury the tape type of game.
Eli Manning had some awful games as a rookie. Yep. I mean, that Ravens game from 2004 is a burn the tape kind of game. So, yeah, you're right. Good point.
Yeah, this is house money. You go into New England and you're shorthanded at virtually every key position on offense against a historically good defense and arguably the greatest head coach quarterback combination in the history of the league. Again, if it goes well, shock the world, get excited, a lot of momentum, and you can talk about whatever you want to talk about on Friday morning. But if it doesn't go well, make plans to take the wife apple picking on Saturday. Sunday, go carve up some pumpkins.
You know what I like? I like a good apple cider donut.
See, I'm not an apple cider donut kind of guy.
Are you a donut guy?
Dude, I am a hot donut, Dunkin' Donut,
but you don't
Suzy
like apple
Q
cider
donuts, whoever. No, don't like apple cider. Don't like apple cider
Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy Kreme?
Krispy Kreme.
Not Dunkin' Donuts every day.
Yeah, you got it.
Shocking, we don't agree on something. Shocking, we don't agree.
The Whole Foods around the corner from my house has, from Stockton, New Jersey, actually, they have a stand that comes in Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday mornings, and they sell hot homemade donuts and beignets that they make right in front of you. I'm telling you, they're some of the best donuts I've ever had. I'll bring one to the facility next week when we're up here.
Yeah, that's a promise.
That's a promise. I'll keep you to it. It won't be hot, but it will be here.
As long as it's fresh.
Yes, fresh made.
Matt's wife also makes snickerdoodles that he sometimes leaves around and returns and realizes that I ate them all.
Yes. So you can have the snickerdoodles. I'll bring you a donut. Maybe we'll get some donuts in Boston on Friday morning after the game.
Quincy Market has a good donut spot, I think. Yeah,
we'll have to go there Thursday or Friday.
I think Duggan and Jen Conley would be proud that I called it Quincy and not Quincy.
See, I call it Quincy, but that's because I'm an outsider.
Yeah, so am I. But my sister is up there, so now I feel like one of the people.
There you go. Well, we'll ship up to Boston, and we'll talk to you next week here on Talk is Cheap.